Call the meeting to order for March 5th. Roll call, please.
Mr. Martin?
Here.
Mr. Spence?
Here.
Dr. Ross?
Here.
Administrator?
Present.
Mayor?
Here.
Solicitor?
Present.
Fiscal officers present. Mrs. Dameron?
Here.
Mr. Matterin?
Here.
Mr. Merriman?
Here. Everyone, please stand for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Always trying to leave that one line out.
You have the minutes before you from our February 20th meeting. Those should be in order to approve.
So moved.
Second. Comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Is there anyone who would like to speak before council tonight? You know what?
Come on up there.
Here.
Right there. Thank you.
Good afternoon, good evening. It's nice to be here in Wintersville. My name is Bob Stanko. I am running for county recorder. I have been with the county recorder's office for 24 years, and the current county recorder, Paul McKeegan, is retiring, and I'm hoping to make that next step and replace Mr. McKeegan. It's been great working with him. We have done a lot of things in the recorder's office since I've been there. We've increased our public computer system from 4 to 14 public stations. We've also scanned every document. I was actually the lead in that, to scan every document in our department to be placed on the computers. One of the things that I have actually done and have done in this past week to upgrade is get our office now on the the county website. So now when you go to the county website, we are a part of that. You can click on our link and open up our information for our office. That's just completed yesterday, and that was phase 1. Phase 2 will add more information about the office, details and things about what we do. One of the nice things about our office is we are very busy. As Mr. Becker, he knows very well, he's been in there. I've seen him in there in the past. We are very busy with oil and gas, and we were the ground zero for oil and gas when it came to this part of the state. So we handled that very well. We worked with the commissioner's office to open up space for all of the landmen to come in and do their work. Down in the basement, they set up workstations for them. We were able to get them in and out without having any wait time. We were the only county that did not have wait time or limited time on the computers, so it worked very well, and that was for a good 5 or 6 years. So that traffic has slowed down, but the document traffic has increased quite a bit. So when we handle that very well, our turnaround time to get documents recorded and processed and back out is usually 1 day. If we're super busy, it's 2 days. So as you can see, we're very efficient, and I hope to continue that. It's great to be here. I appreciate any support that you can give me, and I hope to be your next county recorder. Thank you.
You guys are
very
doing
much.
a great job down there. I know from personal experience, and you've helped me more than once.
Well,
very greatly appreciated.
Well, I'm glad that you feel that way. It makes me feel good. If anybody has any questions, feel free to call or ask now. You know, we're open 8:30 to 4:30 Monday through Friday, and I'm there all day. So if you want to give a call for any questions you might have, feel free to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming. Come on up, Mr. Vukovic.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Everybody here. Mr. Martin said don't be longer than 45 minutes.
50.
Honorable Mayor, it's a pleasure being here.
you.
Really
Thanks for
nice
coming.
place. Honestly, I've never been in this chambers. And most people know me. My name is Robert S. Vukovic. It's the 3rd time I'm running for county commissioner. It's really a young man's game and not an old man's game, but
You're still young.
consequently,
Yeah, there you go.
I got a large ad going in the paper Sunday. It tells you all about myself, where I've been, what I've done, what I plan to help do. And real short, he talked about all the oil and gas, and they set up all the monies, and there's money down there. Well, I want to say to you gentlemen that one thing I am going to do, I'm a no-nonsense guy. If you call me, if I can do it, it's going to get done if I can do it. And if I can't do it, then I can't do it. I'm going to be your voice. I know this area. I know the people here. right now, and I don't know, I read the papers, 3 papers a day, but there's a lot of money down there right now flowing around. It's from that oil and gas that them officers and the people have here. I don't know where the money's going or what they're doing with it, but I do have a plan for it. And I want to make sure Wintersville gets their fair share. I'm pretty close, and there's $800,000–900,000 a year now coming, guaranteed for the next 20 years, which would be about $17 million. I'd like, if I would happen to get elected, I'd like to get the money now. You know, like that, JG, where we need the money now. Well, and I mean leverage that money. Interest rates are as low as they're gonna be ever again. It's 3% or whatever it is. There's a lot of money there. I'd like to get some money for you. I'm not knocking nobody. You've had commissioners, pretty nice guys, and you might have dealt with them a lot of ways. I'll be a different commissioner. I'm the underdog, always been the underdog, and I got the same people coming after me because they don't want me. I'd appreciate you thinking about supporting me. And once again, you'll see me again, and it's a pleasure seeing you all. Mr. Becker, we'll see you all, okay? Thank you.
Listen, I thank you very much. I know I appreciate everything you've done for us. I mean, I make a phone call either to you or I ask Mr. Martin to reach out to you, and you've never hesitated to help us. So I really appreciate that. So thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Lockhart.
You're on deck, Dick.
Should have skipped you.
Hey, sure. Hey, Mayor, Charlene did a good job last week. She was only up a couple minutes, so you know what that means.
I know where you live.
Come on over. It's
Council,
too late for dinner.
Robert Lockhart, your representative to various committees that I have attended. I want to report tonight on Steel Valley Transit. 2 new buses are forthcoming here in the end of March. For services within the community. Memorandum of understanding is in the process of being completed between Weirton Transit and Steubenville Transit Association. It's been a long waiting to get this thing accomplished. Bus service with regard to Wintersville. We got to be proud of the fact that there's a 55% increase in usage of the bus service from last year to present, which is very good compared to the other communities, villages, and the city. So we're doing very good with regard to the citizens using the service. Also, they're in the process now of union negotiations, and that's being completed by a bunch of appointed individuals, board members that are negotiating with the union representative. Next, a report on BHJ, the meeting we had in the most recent meeting we had. And the main thing is the resolution was passed by the advisory committee and then passed on to the full commission, and I was elected again for the chairmanship of the Technical Advisory Committee. That's a committee that analyzes all these programs before it goes up to the full commission for voting on. And this year we have the benefit as far as the replacement of computers and phones for Steel Valley. That's under the revision of number 19 of the Transportation Improvement Program. Purchase of software that's been mandated by the state of Ohio, and the funding has to be accomplished through BHJ, and that's part of that resolution. Purchase of a service truck, that's part of the resolution, and a preventative maintenance amount of money that's for the operational purposes of Steel Valley. Secondly, projects that are important to us. Down at Railing, the park and ride will be completed in 2021. There are situations with regard to, if you can picture this, out Springdale all the way out to the State Patrol Barracks. Jefferson County has they're in the process of allocating funds for upgrading that section of the road, because in the past there has been some fatalities with regard to people trying to cross that section of the road. So they're going to talk about signage, lights possibly, full implementation of benefits towards safety for that section of the road. And I have talked with the administrator, and I feel that there's a point in time now with the new high school being put in and the construction that will be going on, the section from Kroger to Springdale, that's the responsibility of Wintersville regarding paving, and et cetera. And I feel that we can approach BHJ and get their possible input and service with evaluation of helping us out with regard to upgrading that road and implementing same thing that they're trying to do with that other section of the road going out to the patrol barracks. I think with the kids, the new school going in, and the benefit there, that sign that's there, the yellow sign with regard to speed control, all of that has to be, plus we have some new businesses going in that section of the road, and I think that's why I've talked to Walt about going down to BHJ, and part of this is the overall. There's a study being completed now. It's starting now with the transportation director of BHJ, and it's based upon the funding that was obtained by Jack Serra, $5 million, for the study of the road situations, basically to pinpoint some of the problems with regard to some of these big gas and oil rigs ruining the roads. There are some agreements between these companies and the county, Jefferson County, and in particular, I'm sure Belmont, that's not our problem with regard to this, but Jefferson County. The other situation is that some of the vehicles that utilize these roads are just causing a lot of problems for the roads, and there is this money that is generated down the road out of this $5 million study possibly could be used for implementing the upgrades of these roads that have been damaged by these gas and oil rigs and trucks. So that two-year study is part and to be incorporated in the section. That's why we have a traffic study, and Walt and I are going to go down and talk about that, mainly Walt, get down there and talk to them about implementing a traffic study for that section, Kroger out to Springdale. So you can get a perfect understanding of the traffic flow in that section, justified, and then you look at the safety aspect of it. Those are the key issues that generate funds from the state or the federal government to implement what we're asking with regard to improving that road condition. Other than the grant that we tried to get this year and we didn't get. There's too many people, too many other areas that are trying to get the same improvements, and we are down at the bottom of the list. But other than that, there's one more thing with regard to the state of Ohio has, and ODOT has come up with $27 million for the purpose of looking at the potential for a port authority to be developed in this general area here. And we do have properties down in Steubenville area on the river. And there are some particulars with regard to, you must follow certain procedures with regard to possibly getting some participation in this port authority once it's developed down the road. And I hope that that comes to fruition with regard to our community, because it'd be a blessing. With regard to the one more thing is the March the 10th over at the Millsop Community Center, there's going to be a meeting open to the public with regard to this Port Authority. There's going to be representatives that present information regarding the requirements with regard to possibly entering into consideration of being involved in the Port Authority. You have to, certain things, you have to have a plan, you have to have certain other criteria you must meet. So, but this meeting is beneficial to the community. We're in Community Center, March the 10th, 10:30 a.m. One more thing is I have this information right here. This is a project that was completed by BHJ. Basically what it is, it's analysis of all of the information that was downloaded between the year 2010 and 2045. That's part of a section of a long-range plan for BHJ. And involved in that is a very nice breakdown with regard to economic situations, trends with regard to population, economic flow, quite a bit of information. And I do have the download information with regard to BHJ that you can obtain, or at least review this information. It's quite extensive, it's quite nice, it's in color, but and it's rather lengthy, but it's still something, if you're interested in the community in the future, it would be nice to take a chance to come to that meeting for the Port Authority and then look at this other thing projection-wise for the next long-range plan for the community.
That looks like something Walt put together. Looks like something Walt would probably put together. Looks nice.
Yep.
Walt would have had it.
Other than that, anything else?
Any questions? No. Thank you so much for all your effort, all your help. Chief?
Good evening. Last council, you guys approved Dominic Rogers for auxiliary, as an auxiliary officer, and due to his work schedule, he was unable to attend, so I wanted to introduce him to council tonight.
Thank you. Welcome aboard.
What was the name? Is this the order?
Dominic Rogers.
Dominic Rogers.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Be safe. Anyone else? Seeing no one else, will move forward. Reading of ordinances.
Third read ordinance number 2020-01, an ordinance declaring that a 2011 Ford Flex VIN 2FM HK 6DT1BBD10501 is no longer needed for any municipal purpose, and authorizing the sale of said vehicle to the highest and best bidder in accordance with Section 721.15 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Motion is ordered to approve ordinance number 2020-01.
So moved.
Second.
Comments or questions? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Martin?
Yay.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Dr. Ross?
Yay.
Mrs. Dameron?
Yay.
Mr. Mattern?
Yay.
And Mr. Marion?
Yeah.
Ordinance number 2020-02 is an ordinance to approve permanent appropriations for fiscal year 2020. This is due by the end of March, so I'd ask that we,
Where is that ordinance?
Unfortunately, he doesn't have a copy of this.
yeah, I don't have a copy of it.
Maybe not having the next meeting.
Yeah.
Well, my concern is, I mean, I know I have at least one, possibly two councilmen that aren't going to make the next meeting, and this has to be approved this month. So
Can you read that ordinance?
it's an ordinance approving our appropriations.
And
So
we can amend this,
at any time. Just because we do this now doesn't mean we can't change it. And again, if we see more revenue coming in or whatever, we should amend it anyway, or else we get cited by the auditors. We have seen no real changes to our budget from what we've forecasted at this point. So really, there's not probably a whole much to discuss about this right now. But again, we can, my suggestion always is, the end of June, which is the halfway through our year, that we reassess and get together anyway and look at our budget, look at where we're at, and if we need to make any adjustments, we can at that time. So
Yeah.
I'd ask that we approve this so we stay within
I'll make a motion.
standing in the law.
Approve that budget,
Well,
Well, suspend the rules.
Suspend the rules first.
Thank you. Second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Martin?
Yay.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Dr. Ross?
Yay.
Mrs. Dameron?
Yay.
Mr. Mattern?
Yay.
Mr. Marion?
Yeah.
Second read 2020-02, an ordinance to approve permanent appropriations for fiscal year 2020. Actually, this should be 2021, right? Or no, 2020, you're right, you're 2020.
Right.
That's a second read. Third read, 2020-02 is an ordinance to approve permanent appropriations for fiscal year 2020.
Again, motion made in order to approve ordinance number 2020-02.
So moved.
Need a second.
Second.
Comments or questions? Again, I apologize, this kind of snuck up on us, and based on the next meeting and being concerned, we usually don't like to process things this way. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Martin?
Yay.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Dr. Ross?
Yay.
Mrs. Dameron?
Yay.
Mr. Mattern?
Yay.
Mr. Merriman?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll take my.
Get her
I'll
email.
yeah,
I think
I'll
that's
email it to you. I'll email it to
Okay,
you.
sounds good.
I'll email you a clean copy.
Perfect. That's all, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Reports and announcements. You have before you the monthly mayor's report for the month of February. You had a total revenue of $12,177.39. You have the village receiving $9,890.21 of that, the state receiving $1,771.68, and other $451. You have the February police report before you, 149 complaints, 263 incoming calls, 11 accidents, 15 cases, 17 alarm cases, 5 juvenile cases, 31 arrests, 1 other arrest, 16 parking violations, 6 vehicle impounds, 6 out-of-town assistance, 1 dog bite, 88.5 auxiliary hours, 1 canine use. You have total money received in old fines for the month of February, $3,702.27. And if you'll notice, monies collected from old fines has actually gone over the $100,000 mark of $100,001, $230.73. Congratulations, Chief. Good job.
Good job, Chief.
You have the code enforcement report before you. You have 12 licenses at $900, 6 permits at $300 for a total of $1,200 for the month. The new police vehicle is on order. And I don't have a time frame yet, probably what, we figure 60 days? Okay, so we're looking at a little bit of time frame. And then once that's done, the old police car will be converted over to a code enforcement car. I'm asking tonight, because again, our code enforcement officer is using his vehicle and we never approved for him. I'm asking for $15 a day for wear and tear and gas that he works on his current vehicle until we can convert him over, hopefully mid-May, early June, into the new vehicle that will have a code enforcement insignia on the car. It'll have a blue set for lights so people that know, that it's a village vehicle. So I just ask for that recommendation if we get a motion to approve.
Second.
Comments or questions?
Didn't we already go over that with the gentleman that was going to take his
We
place?
asked him, for him, we did, but we have to do it for this one
Okay.
because he didn't take the job.
Was it also $15 a day, or was it $15 a week?
His was 10 a day.
His was
Yeah,
10
and
a
his,
day.
well, he's asking for 15,
Okay.
which I think still is fair. Comments or questions, any others? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Martin?
Yay.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Dr. Ross?
Yay.
Mrs. Dameron?
Yay.
Mr. Mattern?
Yay.
Mr. Merriman?
Yeah.
I'd like to, we had a very tragic incident a few days ago in the village, the loss of a 2-year-old child. I'd like to commend the police officers and the fire department in their due diligence, trying to do everything they could. I just ask that we keep them in our thoughts and prayers, that family, in this difficult time. Also, the police, we have asked the organization to meet with our police officers in case they needed any counseling or discussions, and they'll take care of that and watch that in an ongoing situation. It's very tragic, very sad. Just keep those people in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you. Administrator.
2 items tonight. First is Phase 5 sewer project, the bid date. It'll be advertised the next 2 weeks, starting tomorrow. Bids will be opened at 10 o'clock on Wednesday, March 25th. Phase 5 is basically some of the collection system, plus the Eakey Street and Squirrel Hill lift stations. Total cost is approximately $2 million. So far, we have a $500,000 grant, $500,000 0% loan from High Public Works Commission, and the remainder of the money will be a 1% hardship loan from Water Pollution Control Loan Fund, which is administered by the EPA. Next item on the list, the last item, is Columbia Gas meeting for their line and meter replacement project. The terrace project is set for next Thursday, March the 12th at 6 p.m. If you look at the little packet you have is what was mailed to all the homeowners. The second page, there was either they've added some streets or they didn't tell me some of them, but you can see the main area they talked about. They already finished with Karen Place, I believe. And then, as you can see on page 2, they've got quite a heavy outlined area there, of which Main Street is going to be part of it also, and Fernwood Road. So that'll be ongoing here for the next couple months, I assume. But they will explain more at that March 12th meeting. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. One other item, sorry. We have opened up this office, this building, on March 24th for the Regional Income Tax Agency. They will be here for the day from 9 till 5 p.m. They will offer taxpayer assistance event, which will be free to any resident in the village. It will also be available to anyone in our surrounding communities. So we've opened up our village, for example, for Amsterdam, Bloomingdale, Empire, Mingo Junction, Smithfield, Stu Mills, Stratton, and Toronto. So if any of those residents as well need help with free taxpayer REIT assistance, they'll be here on site that day. So you'll see a lot of cars and people, just so you can pass that information on. Thank you. Any questions for administration?
I had one. Bob, you briefly said something, a statement about the terrible event that happened. Did you say something about there was an organization that was showing support for our first responders in case they needed some emotional or physical, psychological
Yes.
support?
Yeah.
What was that organization?
Coleman Professional Center.
Coleman Prevention Center. Thank you.
Anything else?
No.
Thank you. All right, there's no unfinished business. We go to new business. Mr. Merriman.
No new business.
Mr. Mattern.
I have a couple things. We did have an ordinance committee, and both, the whole committee was there. Ms. Dameron and also Dr. Ross both showed up. Several ordinances were discussed. Recently, Walt and Art did a complete thorough review of the parking ordinances, and they've sent some recommendations through to Chris. We should be seeing something in a ordinance form here shortly.
Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt, but the chief and I have discussed this a couple times in the past week, and I know Walt was involved too. If that's good to go with the ordinance committee, I'll have it at the next meeting.
Perfect,
Okay.
perfect. That's definitely the
changes have been made, and we'll get that.
Yep, that's good to go. There's also a couple other ordinances that I'm sure Walt will follow up with you, including the uniform allowance for the police officers.
The chief will.
Chief will.
Oh, what did I say?
You said Art.
That-
Walt. I
Walt,
mean.
you said Walt.
Okay, the chief will on the uniform allowance. That's an update modification.
Okay, I'm sure he'll get ahold of me.
Also, the auxiliary hire process, we wanted it to be similar to the full-time with just a difference in the probationary period. Expect something like that. If we
Okay.
can have that by the next meeting or
Okay.
so, that would be fine.
Okay.
We did have a general discussion about the physical part of ordinance 131.03. Just a discussion. I don't think we'll have anything back on that, but we'll probably discuss that a little bit further moving forward.
Okay.
I do have a question for the administration. In our insurance that's covered by our, the employees, is there a component in that insurance that pays for an annual physical? I know our insurance does at South Chemical, where I gotta go get an annual physical, and it's free. It's covered by the insurance. If the administration can look into that and have an answer, that would be fine.
Most of that wellness stuff is, but since we have a new provider, I don't know, but
We don't
we can
know.
make a call.
Okay, see what options we got. The next thing I had was, and that's all I had with the ordinance committee, and thanks for the two newbies. It was our first meeting, so good job on Dr. Ross and Mrs. Dameron there. Jefferson County Regional Planning, I went to the meeting last time around. Walt, they're having a public meeting for the Community Development Block Grant and the Community Housing Improvement Programs. I don't know if we apply for any of these, but they do have an open house Thursday, March 19th. I got a whole pamphlet here for you. I think it's just like, do you qualify? Where can you go? What opportunities may you have? So I'm going to give you that.
Someone else will maybe go in my place. I won't.
Okay, so that's going to be down there. There's also a 401 informational meeting going to be held out in Hopedale on March 18th. I don't think it applies to us. It's basically if you're planning a project to result in a discharge or dredge of fill material into a lake, stream, or any wetland. I don't think we have any of that going, but they do have a project there. And the last thing they talked about, they've been talking about just about every other meeting down there, was the census 2020 that's upcoming. The last census in 2010, Wintersville had 3,924 residents. There is about $675 billion available. And the way that this gets distributed is by the census. So it's very supportive of the village that we get our fair share, and we do so through a census. It also talks about a representation in the House of Representatives is also based on this census. So there's a couple things that came up on the census. The last thing I had was I got to give a shout out to Ellie Patera. She's the state runner-up in the inaugural Ohio Girls High School Wrestling Tournament. Even though she fell short of her goal of being a state champion by 2 points, she's still a champion to us. From her coach, Brandon Pendleton, Ellie represented herself, her family, her school, her community with heart and pride. Pendleton continues, she is the definition of a warrior princess. So congratulations to Ellie Patera, and a big shout out to the Indian Creek wrestling team. The boys have placed second in the OVAC 5A, the big schools. Unfortunately, they lost to Wheeling Park in the finals, but they beat that city to our east in the semifinals, 34-29. And I just want to know where Barilla and Mavromatis are tonight, so we can rub it in their face a little bit. Congratulations on the wrestling team and Ellie Patera, and make sure we get a call down there to Barilla on that as well. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Dameron.
Everybody holding their breath? Oh, sorry. Just a couple things. I wanted to thank Mr. Stanko and Mr. Bukulik for presenting tonight, Mr. Lockhart for your information. I would just think, though, that $5 million would be better served by fixing the roads instead of doing a survey on how badly they are traveled by those oil and gas trucks. Just an opinion. But I did want to tell you that I spoke with April Powell last Thursday. She is now on the committee regarding the fight against the landfill, and she indicated that they are moving by leaps and bounds up the ladder, including contact with the governor and support. And I would like to see if council would be interested in having her come back and speak before council again to kind of give us some updates on where things are and what's going on with that committee.
If she wants to, by all means.
All right, that's all I have.
Thank you. Ms. Jean Angel.
Nothing, sir.
Mr. Becker.
Nothing.
Dr. Ross.
No new business.
Mr. Spence.
No new business.
Mr. Martin.
It's a couple of things. As talking about the landfill, as up to date, I don't think that company that was coming have not applied for any kind of permits. From what I'm hearing, if the community don't want them here, they're not going to be coming. That doesn't mean somebody else might not pick up the flag and run with it. So but basically that's where we at on that so far. And I like to echo Mr. Matter about just the wrestling team, the girl and the wrestling team, but the girls basketball team, they fell short in their last game, but they did a good season all year. And I think we should invite them up and have a resolution for each one of those groups of people. And maybe the mayor can work on that. I'll get the names of the basketball team and get all the names of the wrestling for Mr. Pendleton and see can we make that happen.
That'd be great. My only suggestion, and again, I've said this before, I'd like you to get with the athletic director to make sure we don't miss anybody.
Yeah,
There's
I'll
more than
talk
one
to Mr.
program,
Dunleavy.
and that's my only concern is I don't want to miss anybody in congratulating them or I mean, I just
We can do that.
I want to make sure. I mean, I get the coaches, but there's a lot of programs up there that should be recommended, and I'd like you to go through him if you could.
Yeah, we could.
Thank you.
And I got one other thing on the street project over on Locust Street and Orchard Street, when is that gonna start?
I haven't spoken with them this week, so I'll check the first of the week and see. Again, the paving companies, they're doing some and they're not doing some. They're not in full production yet, so he wants to make sure he's closer to when they're open so he can finish the street and then pave.
Okay, just in the meantime, until that happens, she can't even take another dry run and fill those ruts.
Yeah, well, that rain,
Yeah, I know, he put a little
Couple
sand in
nights.
there, you know, some parts of it, he packed it with rocks, but if he could pack the rocks and roll it, it'd be, my people
Okay.
over there would be much appreciated.
mainly Locust or all of them?
Locust and over where Shirley lives.
Orchard?
Yeah, Orchard, and Orchard
Okay.
Place. All right, thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you. Motion to pay the bills.
So moved.
Second.
Comments or questions? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Martin?
Yeah.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Dr. Ross?
Yay.
Mrs. Dameron?
Yay.
Mr. Mettern?
Yay.
Mr. Merriman?
Thank you. Motion adjourned until March 5th.
So moved.
Second.
March 5th.
19th.
Well,
We already passed that.
me? What the heck?
That was a typo.
Well, we're gonna adjourn and come right back then. All right.
Yeah.
Adjourn until March 19th at 7 PM.
Need
Need a
to
motion.
get a quorum.
And a second? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Meeting adjourned.